Great. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Common Council for Tuesday, February 4th, and welcome to those that are watching on cable channel. Could we have a roll call, please?
Finkler. Here. Hammer.
Here.
Lawson.
Here.
Motive.
Present.
Reed.
Here.
Relke.
Here.
Rostad.
Here.
If you'd please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I acknowledge this meeting was posted and noticed according to law.
Okay, thank you. I would look for now a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Alder Rosted, second by Alder Finkler to approve the agenda. Any discussion on it? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda approved. Anybody signed up for public comment? Okay, thank you. Tonight, for the consent agenda, we have the Special Committee of the Whole, the Common Council, and Committee of the Whole minutes from January 21st of 2025.
Motion to approve consent agenda. Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Rosted, second by Alder Lawson to approve consent agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next, under new business, is to consider and take action on the date changes for the future council meetings. February 18th would be moved to February 19th, and April 1st would be moved to April 2nd.
I move to approve the date change for the future council meetings from February 18th to the 19th and April 1st to the 2nd in 2025.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Finkler, second by Alder Rosted. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda is to consider and take action on the proposal from Vandewall Professional Services regarding redevelopment options for Tower Drive, as was discussed at the January 21st meeting.
Motion to approve the proposal from Vanderwall Professional Services as presented in the packet. Second.
Motion by Alder Rosted, second by Alder Lawson. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Oh, yeah, this is a roll call because it's the amount. Amend your motion to put the dollar amount. Well, that's true. Okay. Very good.
To clarify the amount, it's 12,500.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And yes, a roll call. Thanks for the reminder.
Finkler.
Nay.
Rostad.
Aye.
Motive. Relke.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Reed.
Nay.
Ayes have it, 4-2.
Okay, thank you. And then next would be to consider and take action on the claims in the amount of $412,142.66.
Motive will make a motion to approve the claims in the amount of $412,142.66.
Reed will second.
Okay, motion by Alder Motive, Reed, second by Alder Reed to pay the claims. Discussion on such? Okay, hearing none. Roll call.
Lawson.
Aye.
Rostad.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Finkler. Aye. Relke.
Aye.
Motive.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Okay, thank you. And then reports.
I have nothing this evening.
Okay. The only thing that I have is that The city clerk, Susan Kane, and myself will be attending on February 13th, a League of Municipalities roundtable discussion over in the city of Beaver Dam. So, looking forward to that. And that's all I have. So with that, I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned from the regular council meeting. We'll move on to the committee of the whole agenda. So welcome everybody to the committee of the whole meeting for Tuesday, February 4th of 2025, and also to those that are watching via cable. Could we have a roll call, please?
Finkler.
Here.
Hammer.
Here.
Lawson.
Here.
Motive.
Present.
Reed.
Here.
Rolke.
Here.
Rostad.
Here.
I acknowledge this meeting was also posted and noticed according to law.
Okay, thank you. Just get situated on the next, there we go. In your packet, you have the committee minutes for file that are beautification from November of 2024, a beautification from January 6th of 2025. Oh, sorry, did it again. Look for a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So move.
Second.
All right, motion by Alder Rosted, thank you, and a second by Alder Finkler to approve the agenda. Any discussion on the agenda? Okay, Alder Rosted.
Are we gonna get any information on item number 2?
I was not given any information on item number 2 other than the request to put it on the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
So, any other further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now, committee minutes for file would be beautification from November of 2024, beautification from January 6th of 2025, and PFC from December 11th of 2024. Any public comment for this meeting? None? Okay, thank you. Then on to new business, and would be to consider the request from the Columbus Fire Department to recognize March 20th as Fred Dart Day annually in Columbus. I have had discussion with Matt Erke on it. I didn't know, I was hoping that he would have been here tonight.
Matt's sick and unable to attend, so
Okay.
Chief Hazeltine's going to
Okay,
speak in his
so
absence.
Chief Hazeltine, thank you.
I'm on. All right. Good evening. Matt, his family is sick, including him, so I didn't want him to come in here and get everybody else sick. So he shot me an email of what he wanted to talk about. So as Mayor said, we'd like to have a Fred Dart Day, March 27th, recognized every year. Included with that, they would like to have any member that hits 50 years of service would get 1 day of recognition from the city of Columbus and a proclamation. And this award would be a combined service of 50 years within the fire service, which means, like we do for our honorary members, they could be 15 years combined. They could have 10 years with another department, finish 5 years with us, get 15 years, get honorary membership. So that's what they were looking to request.
And you said the date was the 27th?
20th.
20th? Okay,
Yes.
all right. Anybody have any questions? Alder Rosset.
Can you re-say what you said about the combined for the 50?
Matt is here. Any member that hits 50 years of service would get 1 day of recognition from the city of Columbus and a proclamation. And the award would be for combined service of 50 years within the fire service. So whether it be 20 years with another department, 30 with another, and came to 50, that we would recognize them, or the city would.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Freddie's the first to hit 50 years of service in CFD, correct?
I think so.
I think it would be a dishonor to allow a combination for the 50. If this is how it came about, is from Fred, Chief Dart, I think it'd be a dishonor to Chief Dart to allow a combined years of service for the 50-year award. The honorary I get, but the 50 years it's a benchmark, as you know. It's
Right.
Not very many make it.
Yeah, so I think what they're doing here is, because I, by reading it, without talking with Matt more on it, by reading it, it looks like it's this one day of recognition, not a every year thing.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna bring that up too, because it says annually here.
Right.
Which
Annually
Well,
for Fred.
annually would be Fred Dart
Yeah.
Day, annually.
Yep.
It'd just be a one-day recognition with a proclamation. I think that's what they're asking. I believe it started out with Jared and Matt worked on it.
And it's already, whether you retire as an honorary with any length of service, you get a proclamation by the city regardless, correct? Thank you.
Any Alder Motive?
Am I misremembering? Did we already have a day where we did a proclamation for Mr. Dart?
It was a proclamation for Fred Dart, but this is to make this annual.
Okay, okay,
So
so that's just
so
the
ongoing.
difference?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe it's National Frog Day, right? The
Yeah.
20th? And
Yeah.
Freddie's saying
Finer
was
than
finer
frog's
than
hair.
a frog's hair.
Right.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Alder Reed?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I guess I really don't have a problem if it's combined service from different municipalities. I don't know that we would ever have anyone awarded that would manage to stay in one town in service for 50 years.
Combined or with one, it's a rarity.
Any other discussion? Do we feel comfortable moving this forward to the next meeting? So,
Yes.
all right. Thank you. Thank you, Scott.
All right, thanks.
All right, next is the discussion of the facade grant application for 152 and 152 and a half West James Street, the Columbus Historical Society, and we have Mike Corman to guide us on this.
Yeah, this is one of two facade grants applications we've received this month. They are requesting funds. They meet all the requirements of the program. They are requesting funds to do painting, a projecting sign, as well as storm windows on the upper stories. This does include work on the back of the building. The program requirements say the facade has to be visible from the public right away, and this building is visible. The back of the building is visible from Dickinson Boulevard. They're requesting just over $5,000. It requires a one-to-one match, and they have that match available at the time of the application. And CDA recommended approval.
Anybody have questions? Alder Motive?
Attorney Johnson, I actually have a question for you. Why has it changed that all of a sudden, after the CDA approves a facade grant application, it has to come to council? That has not happened previously, and I'm not sure where the change came in.
Without digging back through a couple of years, I can't tell you off the top of my head. The place where I would start would probably be in the, wasn't it a couple of years ago where the city went through created a policy for the granting of these kind of things?
We did, and the small dollar amounts that were written in there were just to be approved by the CDA. It was the large grants
Right.
that were a couple $100,000, or a grant that we needed to borrow from the general fund to fulfill, that's when it would come to council. And I just feel like this is a very inefficient way to do this if it doesn't have to come to council. And it's fine if others disagree, it's just my opinion. But I don't believe it does if we go through the policy.
Yeah, I would have to dig that out to give you a more definite answer, because I do remember that we addressed it a few years ago, but I don't remember where the breaks were.
Yeah.
So my recommendation is that you decide whether this is something you want to move forward or not. We'll do the research in between, and this may or may not be on the next council agenda.
That works for me. And I encourage this to be moved forward.
Alder Reed, or,
I was going to change my mind. Yeah, I feel extremely comfortable with this. It's a small amount, and I would love to find out what the bar was that was set from a couple years ago. I don't remember. I'm sure it wasn't 100,000, but I was pretty sure it was, over 10,000. So just like to check on that.
any other statements, questions? So we'd be good with moving this forward if it so needs to be. All right. Then item number 4 would be the same thing, basically. I mean,
Yeah, this facade grant meets all the requirements. It's for 135 North Ludington. There's a new business going in the near future for windows, some brown metal windows are going in on the main floor and on the second story. So there'll be some repairs there. It's the former Black Kettle space. This person it's a $10,000 project. They're requesting just over $5,000, which meets all the program requirements.
questions regarding this?
Have the outstanding taxes been paid since this was written?
Yes,
Great.
just like I thought, the day or two before 31st. Just like the pattern of payment over the last several years. There's a lot of people coming in those days.
Any other questions? Same routine, move this forward, and unless it doesn't need to be, for whatever is found out. So, all right, very good. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is the discussion regarding the purchase of truck for public works.
There was $35,000 budgeted for replacement of the 2003 GMC Sierra. I've talked with Crystal. We're clearly, the amount of a new vehicle is going to exceed what was budgeted. And although the resale or auction of the existing vehicle will cover some of the gap, it's not going to cover it all. Crystal's confident that we have available funding and savings from other projects to be able to afford this should you want to move forward with acquiring a new vehicle.
Alder Finkler.
The only comment I have to make is this was kind of a discussion when we went through budgeting, how 35,000 seemed like it was not going to be enough for what was on there. Can we just take this as a lesson learned in the future and maybe double check that? Because 35,000 for a 3/4 ton is just not possible. Just want to avoid this in the future.
I'm sorry. Alder Rostick.
Just a question on the color. Is there a reason we're sticking to white now?
I apologize, it'll be red. That's one of the color options.
Okay.
It's one of the questions that I need to get back should we move forward.
Okay.
But it'll be red as the last few vehicles have been.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Comfortable moving this forward? Yes? Okay. Very good. All right, then discussion regarding committees, committee structure, and meeting dates.
As a follow-up from the discussion on the 21st, Paul and I have had a chance to talk and kind of laid out kind of what I felt everyone was in consensus with in terms of, it seemed that we wanted to align committees similarly in role, design, function, that appointments would be made the first meeting in May, filling vacancies throughout the year, that each committee should have a council appointment and a staff liaison, and that the council appointment be a voting member of the body that should not serve as chair of the committee, and that the staff liaison would serve as secretary and work with the chair to create agendas. Staff member would be a non-voting member of the committee. That each committee hold an organizational meeting in May to identify chair, vice chair, as well as any appointments to other committees. That items going to council should first go to a committee, and that there may occasionally be items that come up that would not go to a committee, but that those that do go to a committee would move straight to council. The council agenda would identify the committee and date that that item went to that committee, and that we would eliminate the ordinance review ad hoc committee, the investment board, and the streetlight committee, with the streetlight committee, those duties going to the utility commission. Some questions that remain that were discussed last time is the idea of creating a public works committee and or a personnel finance committee, and that we would need to determine the makeup of that committee, day, time of meeting, or that those items that would go to public works, personnel, or finance, or any other items that don't necessarily align with one of our existing committees would be placed on a committee of the whole agenda following the council meeting. So the idea is that if there is something that doesn't align with one of our existing committees, that we would then hold a committee of the whole meeting after the council meeting to discuss that item, and it would move to the next council if there was direction for it to move, kind of similar to the process now.
Alder Reed.
Oh, thank you. Overall, I like what I'm seeing for the plan setup. My question is just on when surprise issues come up and the committee only meets monthly, but it might not align very well with the council meetings. Would certain items just jump over the committee on occasion? How would that work?
If there was a reason to do that, we would likely have a special cow prior to council if it was something that needed, kind of like we do now. If it's something that time sensitive, we've got to address this. That'd be one strategy of doing it. The other strategy would be put it straight on the council and let the council decide, is this an urgent matter that needs to be resolved at this meeting, or do you want to hold it over for more thought and discussion before taking action on it?
Alder Rossed.
Do we know how many vacancies we have in amongst all the current committees and boards?
There's a vacancy on the utility commission. There is 2 vacancies on beautification.
One on cable commission and one on senior board, which that may end up changing to be community center board. But
So, I mean, there are some vacancies, but
Yeah.
I don't see anything there that's cause for concern.
No, I was going to piggyback into it is, if you had to pick between the Public Works Committee or a Personnel and Finance, which is a higher priority to fill? If we have 5 openings now, we're going to create more.
My recommendation, if you were going to do a finance personnel committee, is that be made up of council members. Maybe not the full council, maybe half the council. I think that's a model that I've seen in other communities. I'd be concerned about bringing additional outside, just because there's a lot of be careful on how I choose my words, but one of the issues that has come up in other communities that have a finance personnel committee is now all of a sudden everything goes to finance personnel, right? And so it's why I've kind of evolved after talking with Paul that maybe just keeping those items as a committee of the whole is maybe the best way forward rather than a separate committee. In terms of Public Works, one of my thoughts is currently how frequently would that group need to meet and how often are there things that would go to their agenda? If we're doing 1 to 2 street projects a year, a stormwater project, what is, a parks improvement project, what other things are going to come before that board that maybe it makes more sense to keep those things as a committee of the whole item.
Because that's another thing I was going to bring up too, is if we're going to ask residents to join and then they only meet by once a quarter or whatever, that we're not really getting we're getting valid input, but are they going to feel as valued as a group that meets every month?
I think that's a fair concern.
That's it.
I know one of the other questions that I didn't quite get to that I know Paul and I would like some feedback on is, should it be the goal, unless state statute requires otherwise, to have each committee have the same length of term and number of members from a consistency standpoint? Because there are some discrepancies currently.
You have every community has the same thing where they have, some are 2-year terms, some are 3-year terms, some are 5 people, some are 7 people. And to me, it doesn't matter. It's just that's kind of a preference for the council. And maybe it doesn't matter to you either. I don't know.
No, Alder Lawson.
So I agree with all your initial set of bullets there. Once we get down to the options, I think I'm a fan of the combined parks DPW beautification type committee, and then potentially rec and community center combined. I think a lot of those activities by the same groups, there's some overlap there. And I would say yes, if we can keep the same length and number of members, why not?
Alder Finkler?
Yeah, for the thoughts on the options, I'm leaning towards the items for public works projects and finance and personnel going to committee of the whole, and then have a trial period and maybe reevaluate in 3 or 6 months to see how that's going, to see if it is worth spinning up a committee on that. I know during budget time it would be nice, but to spin up a committee just for budget time, I don't know if it's worth it. So maybe just evaluate the worth for that. And then
The only thing that I'd just add, not to interrupt, but
no, you're fine.
in communities that I see that have a finance committee, they go through the budget process, and if say it's 3 council members, you end up having the same discussions with the full council, and it's where I think, the committee of the whole process for review of the budget before forwarding it to council probably makes sense, and I agree, it would be, it may not align well with just trying to do a separate committee just to review the budget.
Yeah. No, and I agree with you, because if I wouldn't be on that committee, I would still want to go through the whole budget and once it comes to me anyway. So I apologize ahead of time, but that's, I would do that. So, and then I like the question, each committee have the same length of term and number of members. Yes, I love consistency and standards.
Alder Motive.
I do agree that each committee should have the same standards. I think that that's really important. As far as the committees, I do like what Alder Lawson was saying about the combined DPW beautification. That I think that makes a lot of sense, and that we should have that committee. I also think there should be a personnel finance committee, and I think that it can be used for a lot more than just budgeting. There's potential topics coming up in the next year or two that I think a finance committee could lend some good advisory input on, and I would really like to see that happen. The only other comment I have, and I'm not going to weigh into this too much, but I want to give just plant a seed. I don't think it matters if an alder is a committee chair, and I'll tell you why. I have been on 2 committees now where nobody wanted to do it. Dead last person. So I stepped up. If we run into that situation again where the citizens don't want to chair a committee, we could be in trouble. So I just want to put that food for thought out there.
Alder Reed?
Oh, thank you. I'll start where Sarah ended. On the committee chair idea, yeah, I prefer having it in the middle where the alder could be the chair but isn't expected. When we saw the previous version where the alder was expected to be chair, that was a little much, and there are often people that chair for years and years and years and have extreme amounts of experience and knowledge and should be able to continue on. For the idea of consistency with the committees, I prefer keeping what most works for the individual committees. If one group needs to have a 5-year term because there's a lot of knowledge to gain and it takes a while for onboarding, that works, that makes sense. If a different group has a lot of trouble getting individuals to stay more than 2 years, I don't want them to have essentially no one or people quitting randomly because 5 years or 4 years were expected. For combining committees, I like the idea of it. I just don't know how certain groups will function. Like for beautification, that's most likely going to be individuals that want to work on making things pretty. And it's hard to say if they will want to work on more structural issues. That's just something to check on. Yeah, now I forgot my last thing. I'll come back.
Alder Rusted.
What state statute required, or what committee is required by statute for either membership or length of term?
Tourism.
Tourism, Plan Commission, Zoning Board of Appeals, which is not really relevant to this conversation, Police and Fire, Library. There's probably others, but those are the ones that jump out at me, and all of those are addressed in other places in your code. So the ones that you're primarily talking about.
You're on.
The ones that you're talking about here are primarily things that aren't statutory. They're all completely at the discretion of the council as to how they want to set them up.
I know tourism is every member annually, and it's done in January. But yet I was looking at state statute, and I didn't find anything where that has to be in January. So that would make sense to move it to May, where all the others are.
Right. One of the things that as part of this, one of the things that I'll be doing is going through and making sure, because a lot of this is the drafter picking a time. Oh, January sounds good. Or it happens to be January when we're creating it in the first place, so we'll just use January.
Yeah.
So,
Trying to think who was next. Alder Lawson.
So, when you're doing your research, can we can we look at the other, I don't know, pieces that might be spread throughout there? Like some of the committees define what a quorum is and some don't, and things like that, just to make sure we're consistent.
And then Alder Reed, you got your last point?
Thank you, yes. It was back under options. I would not be interested in creating the Public Works, Personnel, and Finance committees. I really want to keep those at the committee of the whole level, where all of us are equally onboarded and in on the discussion and the inputs. And I think it's just a little bit more transparent for those kind of issues for the public to hear about when it's at this level.
So next steps would be taking the input we've received, whether that's in 2 weeks or a month, right, Paul? In terms of getting an updated ordinance drafted and back in front of you. So that'll be coming to Committee of the Whole when we have it ready for further discussion.
Okay. Alder Ross, did you have another comment?
Yeah, the only thing that was not addressed in here from the previous cow is from Tuesdays to Thursdays, or the date. Or Tuesday to Wednesday, I'm sorry. That wasn't addressed in this packet, unless I missed it.
I felt like Wednesdays were defeated at the last meeting, so I was just going to keep things the way they were, unless there's interest in moving them.
Okay. Any other comments or discussion from anybody to give to Matt and Paul? All right. Thank you. And then we will move on to item number 7, discussion regarding the ordinance to repeal and recreate section 102-86 related to the appointment of the utility director.
I can
If
just
you want to
kinda-
start it off.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So the concern here was that there was some, in reviewing the current ordinance, it wasn't clear over the utility director's day-to-day role in terms of supervising the utility staff. That's something that I feel is important to clarify and ensure that position does have those responsibilities. So Paul drafted this to kind of clear up any inconsistency or confusion related to that.
Okay. Just looking at the what you have presented here, says that they're the director of the water, sewer, stormwater, electric, and communications utilities, subject to the confirmation. And then it goes on to say the utility director shall also have charge of the water softening plant. I don't know if that statement is necessary because that's part of the water utility. That could be eliminated.
That is nothing more than a carryover from probably 1978.
Yeah, and right, yeah,
So-
and it's just, I mean, that's part of the
gladly take it
utility,
out.
so.
It did catch my eye. I
Yeah.
just I didn't know if that was still a big thing or not.
Yeah. Well,
I know it still exists.
yeah. And then just further on down on that, with the grievance part of it is that the city administrator shall then present the grievance to the utility commission at its next regularly scheduled meeting or at a special meeting of the utility commission at the discretion of the city administrator. Should that, I mean, that almost needs to be a decision, I would think, between administrator and president of the utility to jointly.
I was going to say
Discuss
that
that.
should say utility director based on the direction that we're going.
No, because, I mean, the grievance could be with the utility director, so it,
Oh.
I agree with Joe that adding in the president of the utility commission would make sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So you want that to read at the discretion of the city administrator and utility
And
director
utility.
together?
Utility.
Not director.
Commission president.
Commission president.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Do you want the in writing to the city administrator and commission president then?
That's probably a good idea.
That's probably a good idea also, yeah. Alder Rosted?
Well, I just want to offer some insight. I was asked to read a similar thing for a different city. Subsequently, it's about a grievance process with a utility commissioner or utility employee. And the one I read, theirs goes directly to the attorney. So no one's involved but this attorney that's affiliated with the commission. Is that something that's an option or no?
Sounds expensive.
There is that. This is preference of the council. There's no, I'm not aware of any statutory procedure for something like this. I think it's a good idea to have something like this, but it's a question of, you can make this as convoluted and extravagant as you wish, or you can streamline it as much as possible.
Based on our prior conversation about consistency, I asked Paul to mirror this off of Police and Fire Commission. And I'm going to make an assumption that Paul can confirm one way or another, is that oftentimes the Police and Fire Commission may decide to involve the use of an attorney as they review a grievance or deal with these issues, and the Utility Commission would have the same capability to do that should matters warrant. But I don't think the intent of this is to take things straight to an attorney.
Right.
I would, the attorney role is better in support and not in a lead.
Alder Lawson?
I'm all right with how it reads mostly, except in section B or subsection B. Should we have something that says, the utility commission decision is final, but it also must be in compliance with the city policy, personnel policy, guidance, whatever it is that we have as a overarching document at the city?
Again, you can, I will make this say whatever you want it to. You have, with the utility commission, you have kind of a very interesting situation, because you have a policy manual of the city that's adopted, and you have a policy manual of the water, at least the water and light utility, and whichever one is stricter is the one that is followed, if I remember right.
Whichever one is more beneficial to the employee is what's followed.
Okay. And so you have kind of two different sets of rules, perhaps, that is,
How do we eliminate two different sets of rules?
well, if it was me.
We are working on a joint personnel handbook that is still at our internal staff committee level, that will eventually come to committee of the whole. And again, I'm just going to state there's no good way to do this. If you bring it to the elected body first, the employees feel like they're being blindsided. And if you bring it to the employees first for their input, then the elected body feels like they're now being forced to agree to something that the employees have already decided is good. So I've been through this in a couple of different communities. It never goes well. But I'm a firm believer that we need to get to one handbook, and maybe we'll have some special sections within it for certain employee groups based on the specificity of their job. But getting to one handbook is the goal, and it's going to take some time.
So can we write something in there that says that their decision has to be compliant with the applicable handbook?
It's fine with me. I mean, it's, again, that's implied. If you want to make it part of this, I don't have a problem with it.
No, I don't want to.
I would think, yeah, because
Not until we have our handbook finished.
Yeah.
now they have two handbooks, and they go
Yeah.
with the one that sides with the employee.
City has 4 handbooks.
I
Yeah.
think,
We need to clean house before we
I
go
mean, I think
there.
it's a valid point
Like
that
clean house on
Alder
handbooks, I
Lawson
mean.
brings up. I just think to put it in there now, it means that we have to follow it. Shall a grievance be filed
Right.
before the handbook, one handbook, is completed and distributed to the employees? That's my input.
How, well, just in thought on that, I mean, once you get to, if you get to one handbook, then it's applicable, or whatever the word. Applicable. So really saying that is not out of line. It's just holding, there's going to be accountability.
Although it may
as you move
create
forward with it,
confusion
so.
in the interim.
I'll just share that getting to one handbook is going to require some further ordinance review down the road, so.
Add this to the list.
Yeah.
Correct.
Alder Motive?
I agree with making this change based on the staffing structure that we have now. It was not in place as it appears now when the ordinance was originally written, so making the changes makes sense. I agree with what Mayor Hammer said about the city administrator and the utility director in B. And while I strongly feel that there needs to be one city handbook, I think if we put language in there now about that we're going to be confusing things. And once we are to one city handbook, it's implied, so it doesn't need to be written out.
Alder Fink?
I'm going to ask this question because I can't seem to get it straight. The utility director reports to the utility commission or the city administrator?
The way it's written now.
It's not written in here.
So I can clarify. In B, we're saying the city administrator and the president of the utility commission. The utility director reports to the city administrator, but also has like the dashed line to the utility commission.
What I'm getting at is it feels like we hopped this right from a potential situation where the utility director is easily jumped straight to the utility commission when somebody doesn't like the answer or direction. If the utility director reports to the city administrator, shouldn't there be an escalation point that stops at the city administrator with grievances before it's taken to the city administrator and utility commission? Like, I just feel like we're hopping straight to the president before you even literally hopping straight to the president before you try to do any remediation in the middle to who the utility director reports to. That was a long-winded thing.
I'm just going to say it's a fair point, and I think Paul will have the ability to draft something to address that. Right, Paul?
So, the way I started this section, I was anticipating that this was gonna be a few and far between, situation. You guys are all making it sound like it's an everyday occurrence, so I'm a little bit nervous. So, because of its, and I'm serious, because if the types of things I'm thinking about are not day-to-day duties and operations of the employees and the director giving regular work orders on a day-to-day basis, I'm thinking, I was gearing this toward big ticket items.
Do we need,
Insubordination, discrimination, harassment, retaliation, those kind of things.
do we
So-
need to clarify those things then?
Well, that's, I'm wondering if there's a whole nother section that needs to go in here that says, here's what's grievable. I'm gonna start to sound like my wife. Here's what's grievable, because that's what she did. That's what she did for a living, so I heard about it all the time. So, I mean, I can do that if we want to go down that road. I'm concerned as to how much detail you want to put into something that I'm hoping never gets used.
I guess my only follow-up question would be, is the handbook they follow now, what's the process of a grievance
Yeah, well,
that they go through?
that's actually a very good question.
Because that's
And
what this should dictate theoretically.
If we had one handbook, that'd be an easy answer. But I would agree that's probably the best way to
Because if
address
they
it.
don't follow the grievance process in the handbook that they adhere to,
Yeah.
this doesn't mean
let's-
anything.
Let's do that.
And that makes perfect sense.
Let's do that.
There's a policy to be followed, because then if they don't follow that, then there leaves a liability to the city and/or the employee if their end of the stake isn't held up.
All right. So then I'll figure out which handbook we want to look at.
Well, you should look at
Right.
the two, so.
Okay.
So any other questions or guidance to Matt and Paul? Okay. And find my agenda here. Yeah. So, okay, then I would look for a motion to adjourn committee of the whole meeting.
Move to adjourn.
Okay, motion by Alder Finkler, second by Alder Motif to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, let's just take a quick break before we go into the workshop, so.